Okay, imagine this. You're in this ancient forest. It's lush, sunlight's coming through the leaves, you can smell the earth.
Hmm.
And there's a young prince just walking along, and he stumbles upon this simple little hut. Inside, there's a novice monk meditating.
Okay, setting the scene.
So the prince, curious, goes up and asks the monk, "Hey, I've heard monks can achieve, like, concentration of mind if they're diligent. Can you teach me?"
Seems like a straightforward request, right?
You'd think. But the monk, he hesitates. He actually says he's worried the prince won't understand, and it'll just, tire him out trying to explain.
Ah, okay. So there's some immediate friction there. Or maybe foresight from the monk?
Maybe, but the prince insists. He's like, "No, no, I might get it." So they make a deal. The monk says, "Okay, I'll teach you. But if you understand, great. If not, you have to just accept it. Don't question me further."
Wow, that's quite the condition. Like, listen, but don't argue if it doesn't click.
Exactly. So the monk teaches him. And the prince's reaction, instantaneous. He just says, "It is impossible, Agavissana," that's the monk's name. "It is not possible that a monk can attain concentration of mind." And then he just turns around and leaves.
Whoa. Just flat out dismissal. Nope, impossible.
Right.
And gone.
Right. It just completely goes off the rails. It's this total clash of perspectives. One person is speaking from, well, some kind of deep experience, and the other just cannot compute at all.
It really highlights something fundamental, doesn't it? How some truths or maybe ways of knowing can be completely inaccessible depending on your mindset, your current state.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at this ancient text, the Discourse on the Tamed Land, the Dantabhūmisuttaṃ, number 5.
Right, a text that takes us right back to the time of the Buddha.
Yeah, and it explores this very exchange. So our mission really is to unpack why Prince Jayasena found this teaching so utterly impossible. And maybe more importantly, what incredible analogies the Buddha used later to explain this whole journey of transformation. What real discipline means.
It's such a powerful look at the prerequisites for understanding. Sometimes the barrier isn't the complexity of the idea itself, but the readiness, the internal ground of the listener.
Okay, so let's go back to that initial encounter. We're in Rajagaha at Vilavana. This novice monk, Asirvado, also called Agavissana, he's living simply in his forest hut.
And Prince Jayasena approaches him. His question is specific. He's heard about monks achieving concentration through diligence, ardor, and resolution, and he wants to learn that Dhamma.
The Dhamma, right, the teaching. But Asirvado, the monk, he's cautious from the start, worried the prince won't grasp it, leading to his own weariness.
Which is understandable if you anticipate that kind of flat rejection.
But Jayasena pushes, says he might understand. So Asirvado lays down that condition. Understand, great. Don't understand, just accept it, no questions.
A kind of protective measure for the teaching, maybe? Or for himself?
Could be. So he teaches, and bam, the prince declares it impossible and walks off.
Leaving Asirvado. Well, probably pretty frustrated, I'd imagine.
You bet. So what does he do? He goes straight to the Buddha, Bhagavan, tells him the whole story. You can almost hear him saying, "I tried to explain, but he just said impossible."
And the Buddha's response is key here. He immediately gets it. He tells Asirvado basically, yeah, of course he couldn't understand.
Why not? What was the reason?
Because, the Buddha explains, Prince Jayasena is living in desires. He's enjoying desires, consumed by thoughts of desire, burning with the fever of desire, totally focused on chasing desires.
So his entire world, his whole way of being, is wrapped up in sense pleasures and worldly goals.
Exactly. Yeah. And the teaching Asirvado shared, the path to concentration requires renunciation. It requires stepping away from that constant pursuit. So the Buddha says, how could someone so immersed in desire possibly understand, see, or realize something known only through letting go of it?
It's like trying to describe the color blue to someone who's only ever seen red. His current state acts like blinders.
It's not about being smart or dumb. It's about his orientation.
Precisely. And this is where the Buddha introduces the first analogy to help Asirvado understand. He says, imagine you have two groups of animals, say elephants or horses or oxen. One group is really well-trained, disciplined, tamed.
Okay, got it. Like working animals.
Right. And the other group is completely wild, untamed, undisciplined. Now, he asks Asirvado, can those untamed animals just suddenly achieve the same state of being tamed as the disciplined ones without any training?
Well, no, obviously not. Asirvado confirms that. Exactly. It's straightforward. You can't expect an untrained wild animal to behave like a trained one. So the Buddha applies this. You can't expect someone totally absorbed in worldly desires, like the prince, to just get concepts that are only accessible through renunciation, through a different kind of training.
Their nature, their current conditioning, it just blocks it. It really brings home that idea of readiness, doesn't it? Understanding needs the right internal conditions, not just intellect.
Perfectly put. Then comes the second analogy, which I think is even more vivid, the mountain climb.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Imagine two friends. They come to a huge mountain. One friend decides to stay at the bottom, at the foot of the mountain.
Okay.
The other friend climbs all the way up to the summit. From the top, this friend sees amazing things. Beautiful parks, forests, landscapes, ponds, a whole panorama.
Right. A completely different perspective.
So the friend on top calls down, or maybe just tells a friend at the bottom later, describing all this incredible beauty.
And the friend at the bottom, just like Prince Jayasena, what does he say?
He says, impossible. He declares there's no way you can see things like that from the top of the mountain, because he can't see them from where he is.
It's such a classic human reaction, isn't it? If I can't see it or experience it from my little spot, it can't be real. Or you must be wrong.
But here's the brilliant part. The friend who climbed the mountain comes back down, takes the skeptical friend by the arm, leads him up the mountain, all the way to the top, lets him catch his breath, rest a bit, and then asks them again, okay, now what do you see?
And now, of course.
Now he sees it all. The parks, the forests, the ponds, the exact same beauty his friend described. And he realizes, oh, I was covered. I was enveloped by the mountain itself before. My own position limited my view.
That's the key. It wasn't that the view wasn't there. It was his state, his position that obscured it. He needed to change his state to change his perception.
Precisely. And the Buddha brings it right back to Prince Jayasena. He says the prince is just like that friend at the foot of the mountain. He's covered, enveloped, obscured, bound by the great mass of ignorance.
Wow. The great mass of ignorance. That's a strong image.
It is. So the Buddha asks, how could he possibly understand or see what is known through renunciation when his vision is completely blocked by this mass of ignorance, by his current state of being immersed in desires?
It shows that sometimes understanding isn't about more explanation. It's about shifting your entire vantage point, changing your inner state.
Exactly. It's not judging the prince, but explaining the mechanics of perception and understanding in this context. And this leads us beautifully into the main event, the core metaphor of this whole teaching.
The Dantabhūmi, the stages of taming.
Yes. The Buddha offers this incredibly detailed, powerful analogy of taming a wild elephant. And he presents it as a direct parallel to the path of taming and ultimately liberating the human mind.
This sounds like where the real depth is, a blueprint for transformation.
It really is. It lays out the process step by step.
Okay, so let's break it down. Taming the wild elephant. Stage 1. What happens first? You've got this wild elephant in the forest.
Right. So the king orders his elephant trainer, the mahout, to go capture a wild forest elephant. They typically do this by using a trained royal elephant to help corner and bind the wild one.
Okay, capture. Then what?
Then, crucially, they bring it out of the forest into an open space. This is a big deal because, as the text notes, wild elephants are deeply attached to the forest.
Yeah.
It's their home, their security, everything.
So step 1 is literally removing it from its familiar environment, its comfort zone, the place it's deeply attached to. Makes sense. What's stage 2, once it's in this unfamiliar open space?
Stage 2 is about, well, anchoring it and starting the persuasion process. The trainer plants a huge, strong post deep in the ground, a really solid anchor, and binds the elephant's neck to this post. Now, the text is specific here. This isn't just about preventing escape. It's explicitly to subdue its wild habits, its wild thoughts, and all the fatigue, fever, and distress that come with its wildness.
So it's about starting to calm that inner wildness, not just outer restraint.
Exactly. And also, to get it used to human settlements, to adopt humanly pleasing habits. It's the beginning of reorienting its entire way of being.
How do they do that? Just tying it up?
No, there's more. The trainer then starts talking to the elephant. And the words used are very specific. Gentle, pleasant to the ear, affectionate, heart-pleasing, urbane, pleasing to many, agreeable to many.
Wow, not harsh commands, gentle persuasion.
Yes. Gentle, kind, reassuring words. And if the elephant starts to listen, pays attention, shows some sign of understanding or settling down, then it's rewarded. It's given food and water.
Positive reinforcement, showing it that cooperation leads to good things, survival, care.
Right. It's building trust. showing that this new situation isn't just about restriction, but can also be a source of sustenance and safety if it engages with the process.
That's really insightful. Okay, so after this anchoring and gentle persuasion, what's stage 3?
Stage 3 moves into basic obedience training. Now that there's some level of trust and calmness, the trainer gives simple commands. Things like, take up, sir, put down, sir, or go forward, sir, go back, sir, and stand up, sir, lie down, sir.
Building blocks of discipline. Does the elephant respond?
Yes, its responsiveness to these basic commands shows it's progressing. It's learning to follow instructions, to align its actions with the trainer's guidance. It's developing foundational discipline.
Okay, makes sense. Capture, anchor, and persuade. Basic obedience. What's the final stage? Stage 4 sounds like the real test.
It is. This is called the immovable practice, ananya. It's intense.
How so?
The elephant's trunk, its most versatile tool, is bound to a large plank to restrict its movement. Then a man holding a spear sits on its neck. Other armed men surround it on all sides, and the main trainer stands right in front of it, holding a long spear.
Whoa! That sounds incredibly stressful. Surrounded by weapons, restricted.
Exactly. And the task. The elephant must remain completely still, utterly immovable. It can't move its front feet, front body, hind body, head, ears, tusks, tail, or even its trunk. Absolute stillness under maximum pressure.
That's an incredible level of self-control and trust in the training. What's the purpose? What's the outcome of achieving this?
The outcome is profound. The elephant, having mastered this, becomes patient. Patient of everything. Spear thrusts, sword thrusts, arrows, blows from weapons. Patient of loud, chaotic noises, drums, tabors, conch shells, tom-toms. Basically, it's unshakable.
Wow.
All its wild nature, defects, and stains are considered removed and purged. It's no longer just obedient, it's fully transformed. It's reliable, steady, and considered worthy of a king's property, counted as a king's limb, ready for anything.
What a powerful image. From one-pointedness to complete, reliable mastery and resilience. Okay, so now, the parallel. How does this whole elaborate process map onto the monk's path, the path to arahantship, to liberation?
This is where the analogy truly shines. Stage 1 for the monk, renunciation, entering the open space.
Like the elephant leaving the forest.
Precisely. A Buddha, the Tathagata, appears in the world and teaches the Dhamma. A person, maybe a householder, hears this teaching, and faith arises in them. They come to see that ordinary life, household life, is crowded. It's a path for dust, meaning full of distractions and defilements.
And they see the alternative.
Yes, they see that going forth into the monastic life, renunciation, is like open space. It offers freedom from those constraints. So they make a big change, shave their hair and beard, put on the yellow robes, and leave the home life behind for homelessness.
So they voluntarily leave their forest, which the text says is the attachment to the 5 sense pleasures: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Just like the elephant leaving its physical forest, they leave the environment of constant sensory stimulation and attachment.
Exactly. It's creating that necessary space, that internal and external open space for the real training to begin.
Okay, so stage 2 for the monk. What's the parallel to the elephant being tied to the post and persuaded?
Stage 2 is initial discipline, morality, and sense restraint. The Buddha, or the teacher, trains the disciple first in basic ethics. Be moral, the text says. Dwell restrained by the Patimokkha. That's the monastic code of conduct.
It's fundamental rules.
Right. Being complete in conduct and resort, meaning their behavior and where they go is appropriate. And crucially, seeing danger in the slightest faults. Developing a real sensitivity to ethical conduct.
So establishing a baseline of skillful behavior. What else?
Then comes guarding the sense doors. Just like the elephant's wild habits needed subduing, the monk learns to manage their reactions to sensory input. For instance, when seeing a form with the eye, they don't grasp at its signs or features. They don't let it lead to craving or aversion. Same for hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and even thoughts.
Okay, so that's the restraint part. What's the outcome of this stage?
The outcome is the abandoning of the 5 hindrances. These are major mental blocks. Sensual desire, ill will or anger, sloth and torpor, laziness and dullness, restlessness and worry, and skeptical doubt. These are the things that cloud the mind and weaken wisdom.
So clearing away the main obstacle.
Yes, and then they practice the 4 establishments of mindfulness. This is key. They cultivate awareness of the body, of feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, of the mind itself, thoughts, states, and of dhammas, the underlying principles or nature of reality.
And they do this with
urgency, clear comprehension, and mindfulness, putting aside worldly covetousness and distress. This continuous, clear awareness is the anchor.
Ah, so this is the strong post. The four establishments of mindfulness are the parallel to the post the elephant was tied to.
Exactly. The Buddha explicitly draws this parallel. He says these four establishments are the mental bindings for the disciple's mind. They subdue the household habits, thoughts, fatigue, fever, and distress, just like the post subdued the elephant's wildness. And this practice leads towards insight and the ultimate goal, the realization of nibbana, liberation.
Wow, okay, that fits perfectly. So stage 3 for the monk, the equivalent of the elephant learning basic commands.
Stage 3 is progressive training, specifically cultivating the jhanas, the meditative absorptions.
Deeper concentration states.
Right. The Buddha trains the disciple further to observe the body, feelings, mind, and phenomena without thinking thoughts connected to them. Just pure observation, pure awareness. This leads to deeper states of concentration.
Like the second, third, and fourth jhanas.
Yes, these are states marked by profound calm, joy, pleasure, and finally, deep equanimity. The mind becomes incredibly focused, stable, pliable, and workable. Ready for the final stage.
Okay, stage 4, the ultimate test. For the elephant, it was achieving immovability under extreme pressure. What's the parallel for the monk? Higher knowledges and complete liberation.
Exactly, arahantship. Now, the monk's mind is described as concentrated, purified, clear, without blemish, rid of defilement, pliant, workable, steady, and attained to immovability. It's unshakable, like the tamed elephant.
Ready to face anything internally.
Yes, and from this incredibly stable and clear base, the disciple directs their mind towards profound insights, the higher knowledges.
What are they?
First, the recollection of past lives, recalling countless former existences in detail. Second, the knowledge of the passing away and reappearance of beings, seeing how beings fare after death according to their karma, their actions, using what's called the divine eye.
Seeing the bigger picture of cause and effect across lifetimes. And the final, most crucial knowledge.
The knowledge of the destruction of the taints, the osvas. This is the deepest level. Here, the disciple directly understands and realizes the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, its origin, craving, its cessation, nibbana, and the path leading to its cessation, the Noble Eightfold Path.
And they understand the taints themselves.
Yes. They fully understand the fundamental defilements that keep beings bound in suffering, the taint of sensual desire, the taint of existence, the craving to continue existing, and the taint of ignorance, not seeing reality clearly. They see their origin, how they cease, and the path that leads to their cessation.
And the result of this knowledge, this is the culmination.
This is it. With this direct, penetrating knowledge, the mind is utterly liberated from the taint of sensual desire, the taint of existence, and the taint of ignorance. The disciple has a direct knowing. Liberated, I am liberated.
They know they're free.
Unshakably, they understand. Destroyed is birth, the holy life has been lived, what was to be done has been done, there were no more for this state of being. It signifies the end of the cycle of rebirth and suffering, complete liberation.
So that's the fully tamed monk. What does that state actually look like in practice? How do they interact with the world?
The text describes this liberated monk, this arahant, as incredibly resilient. Just like the tamed elephant was patient of weapons and noise, this monk is patient of cold, heat, hunger, thirst. Contact with gnats, mosquitoes, wind, sun, creeping things.
Station of physical hardship.
And also patient of ill-spoken, unwelcome words. They can endure painful physical feelings, sharp, severe, even life-threatening, without losing their inner balance. Because they've purged all the inner defilements, greed, hatred, delusion, they're considered worthy of offerings, hospitality, gifts, reverence. They become, in the Buddha's words, an unsurpassed field of merit for the world.
Total mastery over inner reactions and outer circumstances.
Wow. Okay, this brings us to that final point the Buddha makes, which feels really important. The difference between a tamed death and an untamed death.
Yes, it's a really striking conclusion. It ties the whole analogy together and gives it a final practical punch.
What's the distinction?
He says, look, if an elephant, whether it's old, middle-aged, or young, dies while it's still untamed, undisciplined, wild, well, it's simply considered to have died an untamed death.
Regardless of its age.
Right. And the same applies to a monk. If a monk dies old, middle-aged, or young without having destroyed those mental taints, without achieving liberation, they're also considered to have died an untamed death.
So spending years in robes isn't the measure. Trying isn't the measure. It's about actually reaching that state of inner taming, of liberation.
Precisely. Conversely, if an elephant, old, middle-aged, or young, dies fully tamed, disciplined, having gone through that whole process, it's considered to have died a tamed death.
And for the monk, same principle. If a monk dies old, middle-aged, or young, having destroyed the taints, having achieved arahattaship, having become fully tamed internally, that is considered a tamed death. The true measure isn't how long they lived or practiced, but the state of mastery, the liberation they achieved.
That really shifts the focus, doesn't it? It's about the quality of completion, the inner state, not just the duration.
Absolutely. It underscores that the entire path is about achieving this profound inner transformation, this state of being tamed.
So we've really covered a lot of ground here. We started with Prince Jayasena's simple question and his utter disbelief, his impossible.
Yeah, that initial clash.
And we journeyed through the Buddha's insightful explanations, the reasons for the prince's inability to see, the analogies of the animals and the mountain climb.
Highlighting perspective and readiness.
And then we dove deep into that central, incredibly detailed analogy of the Dantabhūmi, the stages of taming the elephant, and saw how perfectly it mirrors the monk's path to complete liberation.
Step by step, from leaving the forest of desires to achieving that immovable state of mind.
It really teaches us that genuine insight, real understanding, it's not just about hearing some words or ideas, it's about a deep, often difficult process of transformation, changing our environment, both inner and outer. It's about, well, truly taming our own minds.
It is. It's a rigorous, intentional path to mastery, which really leaves us with a thought, doesn't it, for you listening?
Yeah.
This whole deep dive, it shows how much clarity and mastery depend on this kind of taming process. So the question becomes, what wild habits, what ways of thinking, or maybe what mountains of ignorance might be obscuring your vision right now? What might be preventing you from seeing what's truly possible in your own life?
And following the analogy, what training post, what discipline or practice do you maybe need to anchor yourself to begin that process, to become truly tamed in the best sense of the word, clear, resilient, and masterful in your own experience?